and gentlemen, welcome back to the It's Obvious podcast. This is episode 170. My name's Garrett Drake. I'm joined across the interwebs by my friend Jacob Alka. Preston is absent. He is in Alabama for work. Very sad times are upon us. Jacob and I are not together, but Jacob, tell me, how are you?
Garrett, I'm so glad to finally be doing this. It's been a long time coming. This week we missed our regular upload, which I am deeply saddened by, but I believe we have a good excuse this week. Do you want to tell everyone why that is?
Yeah, it's a fairly decent excuse. I'm trying to think of the best way to make this concise so it doesn't bore everyone. Long story short, I had my appendix removed on Saturday because
Wait, that's it?
Yeah, that's it, man. On what was it? Maybe it was Friday. It was Friday night, late Friday night. I came down with a just brutal stomach ache, and I'd only had one like it once before in my life, and it was about a month prior. And
so this is probably something
just,
that's been building up over the last month, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was just totally debilitating. It wasn't the kind of tummy ache that kind of just comes and goes. I mean, it was just nonstop, constant, excruciating pain.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anything of it last time. I just figured, like, man, I really ate something terrible if it's effing me up this bad. And it went away and I didn't think anything of it. Yeah, so this time it came back and it was even worse, to the point where I was just rolling around on the floor. It hurt so bad. So my mom suggested maybe, because I drove all the way home. I don't remember why I drove home, because I'd work that night, but I drove home. I think I had to get some stuff. I can't remember why, but it was a good thing I did drive home, because my mom took a look at me and she did some research and suggested, and my mom is a nurse, just to clarify that as well, so she wouldn't just say this just to say it, but she was like, maybe you should consider going to the hospital and having them taking a look, just make sure everything's fine. It's like, because it looks like you have the symptoms of appendicitis. I was like, oh, crap. So I look up the symptoms, and all of them were exactly what I was feeling. I was like, that's probably the case. So we went to the hospital, and I was hoping they would just tell me I was backed up or something. Like, you need to take a serious dump, man. You've been backed up for weeks.
Here, take this pill. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you shit your brains out. But that was not the case. I went into the emergency room. They hooked me all up and ran a bunch of tests, did a CT scan. And after all those tests, it came back that I had all this inflammation in my abdomen. And the doctor said that it wasn't full-on appendicitis, but it was an early onset case that within the next couple of months it'd be a full-on case, and I'd inevitably have to have either my appendix removed or just go on heavy medication to try to combat it. Because he said most people, not most, but it is an option nowadays to try to deal with it through medication. But after I had that nose surgery, I wasn't really afraid of surgery anymore. So he was like, if you were my brother, I'd tell you should probably go ahead and do this, because it's just going to cause you pain for the next few months like this. And if you want to avoid that, you might as well just get it over with. And I was like, amen, brother, let's do it. So I got home Saturday morning, and that evening around 5 p.m., I was having my appendix removed. So it wasn't too bad. The surgery was fine. I stayed the night in the hospital and was pampered for about 12 hours straight. It was quite nice, actually. Just watched movies and watched a lot of My Hero on my phone.
Nice, dude.
I blew through all the rest of season 2 and half of season 3 or wherever it is.
Yeah, I'm all the way caught up, so I'm just itching at the new episodes coming out.
Yeah. Dude, side note, that show is one of the most epic, inspiring things I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
I know, it's awesome.
It is freaking incredible. But watched a lot of that and came home, and I've just been bedridden ever since. And yeah, obviously I couldn't do the podcast Sunday when we would normally do it because I was still heavily medicated and I was in a lot of pain that day. I know Preston had to go out of town that day too, so it was just impossible to get it recorded.
Yeah.
And today is Wednesday, so this will come out on a Thursday. We're definitely fashionably late with episode 170, but we appreciate you guys being patient and sticking it out with us. We'll be back on track next week, but today, reason why it took so long is because I finally felt up to actually sitting at my desk in front of a microphone. I'm definitely have this really awkward setup right now, and I don't know how it's going to sound. I'm sitting pretty far from my microphone at the moment, but we should be good. As long as I don't laugh, we'll be fine. Anytime I laugh or cough, it is like I'm being hit in the stomach with a sledgehammer. So
gotcha.
As long as we don't say anything too funny, we should be okay. And if I sound at all lackadaisical this episode, it isn't because I'm bored to be here. It's again because I'm on meds and I just had my insides rummaged through. By the way, Jacob, get this. This is kind of disturbing, so prepare yourself.
God.
The way they remove the appendix nowadays,
oh God.
they used to just slice open your side and pull it out and stitch you up. Well, nowadays, and this is obviously a much better procedure, but it's disturbing to think about. They slit you open in these two spots and they pull your appendix through your insides, and guess where they rip it out of you? They rip it out of your belly button. Yeah, your penis. They rip it out of your ass, man. No, they rip it through your belly button. They pull it out of your belly button.
It's disgusting. That's some alien shit.
I know. It reminded me of The Matrix when they stick that thing in Neo's belly button. That's what it reminded me of. So I've had something ripped out of my belly button, and that's where the source of most of the pain is just them ripping that organ out of my belly button and then stitching it up. Oh, it hurts. So and it's disturbing to think about. Does it
hurt to touch your belly button, or can you stick your finger in your body?
No. Yeah, I don't even want to touch it. I'm all stitched up down there in multiple spots, but it's fine. We're good. And the It's Obvious podcast lives on, and I'm excited to talk some video games with you. You want to tell me how your weekend was?
Yeah,
your week, I should ask.
Well, mine was much less exciting in terms of, excruciating surgeries, but I guess the surgery wasn't bad for you, but just
surgery was totally fine. Recovery's been pretty laid back too. It's just the whole leading up to it, and of course now it's a little painful, but we're good.
Yeah, but no, I've been working more. I've been working on a little personal project, which I'm not ready to talk about yet, but in due time I will be. And I'm really excited about that. I've been, still streaming a little bit. I've been slowing down a little bit on the streams just because I've been a little more busy lately, which it sucks, but life happens. But I am looking to stream again tomorrow. Well, when will this podcast be going live, Garrett? Will that be today? Is it going live Thursday?
It should be live Thursday.
Okay, so tonight I will be streaming. So if you guys are listening to this the day of, I will be streaming on twitch.tv/ItsObviousGaming. So, if you like our podcast, you like hearing my voice maybe, and you want to see me play some games, come watch the stream. Love to have you.
Yeah.
But besides that, just been playing some games. Like what we just talked about, I've been watching My Hero. I'm caught up all the way on season 3 so far. Really good show. What else have I been doing? I've just been continuing to work on the back patio with my parents over last weekend actually was when I was doing that, and it's actually done now. Now we're in the process of picking a fire pit that we want to put on it. So it's pretty much almost done. And I also helped my dad build some stairs that kind of lead down to the backyard too. So backyard's really kind of coming together. So looking pretty good.
It's exciting.
So I've been keeping myself busy with all that stuff, and that's pretty much what I've been up to, man. I'll have to take some pictures and post them in Discord so everyone can see what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. I look forward to joining you in that new backyard of yours.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I'd love to have you
Perhaps a nice glass of bourbon and some cigars. How's that sound?
100%. Let's do it. This winter.
Awesome. I'm so excited. You been playing any games in between all that construction?
I have, Garrett. I have. Would you like me to talk about them?
I'd love to hear what you've been playing.
So I've been really slowing down on World of Warcraft. I'm only getting on right now to do my daily world quests, which is the bare minimum that you could be doing right now. It's not that I'm not interested in the game anymore. It's just that other things are occupying my time right now, and I'm just kind of putting WoW to the side. It's not to say, like I said, that I'm not enjoying it, but there are some other games I'm trying to play right now, and one of those being Destiny 2, believe it or not. I'm still really enjoying the Forsaken DLC. Really been grinding my Titan up to, I think I'm around 545 power now. So I'm pretty much at the point where I can be doing the raid. I just don't have a group of people to do it with, so I need to find that, because I do want to experience the raid. It looks really fun, and that's typically the highlighted thing to do in Destiny. It's usually where the most fun to be had is, so I definitely want to be doing that here in the next couple weeks for sure, so I can definitely not only just experience it but also talk about it here on the podcast, because I'm sure people would like to hear about it that don't have a chance to get in themselves. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of Destiny. It's been fun. Iron Banner was last week, so that was fun, I guess. I mean, the events, it's fine. I mean, it's just Iron Banner. You know what Iron Banner is. There's a new year set. It's cool, I guess. But besides that, I've been playing more Spider-Man. Still not really I'm playing a lot of Spider-Man, but I'm doing mostly side stuff. I gotta be honest. I'm just swinging around the city. Yeah. I'm collecting fucking backpacks. I'm doing missions, side missions. I'm taking pictures of monuments. I think I'm almost to the point where that's kind of considered the halfway point. I don't want to mention what that is yet, because the games did just come out. It's still not okay to talk about spoilers, I don't think.
Yeah, probably not.
But yeah, I'm still really enjoying that. I was talking about this on stream. I think it was Monday night. I'm not sure if Spider-Man, like I haven't finished the game, so I don't know for sure, but I don't know if it's going to be my game of the year per se. Because I really liked God of War. And I don't know if Spider-Man's really hitting that same note for me, but it's definitely like right up there with God of War for sure. Still like only being about halfway through, I imagine. But,
I get that.
Yeah, like I'm glad that I have that game to be playing right now because it's kind of nice to mix up my multiplayer / MMO gaming with like, you know, if I get tired of that, I can go jump into a single player game like Spider-Man. So
for sure,
that's pretty much what I've been doing lately. I'm considering, Garrett. I'm considering quitting Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery. So I'm about fed up with this stupid game. I just feel like I'm providing this developer, this shitty developer, with confidence that people are playing their game. I shouldn't be playing it because it's so garbage.
Yeah, you gonna finally drop it?
I'm thinking about it. I haven't done it yet. I'm thinking about it. So everyone send out a prayer.
I think you'd be doing us all a favor if you did drop it, Jacob.
I should stop playing. I don't know why I'm playing it.
Well, I'm still holding out for that dream Harry Potter game. Like I said, we got Spider-Man. If we got Spider-Man, we can get Harry Potter. I know they're owned by two entirely different entities and are two entirely different IP, but if that can happen, the other can happen. It's proof that dreams do come true.
I'm just holding out hope that all these, like, you know, all the Rocksteady and like Superman or superhero game rumors, I hope they're all like just a facade and they're really working on a Harry Potter MMO or like a RPG or something. That's my dream right there. But
be both,
who knows if that'll happen?
Both.
I don't know.
Oh boy, this is random. While we're talking about Harry Potter, you see that new Fantastic Beasts trailer?
I didn't actually. When did it release?
Well, I think it was yesterday.
Oh, well, I've been like off social media the last couple days, so that's my excuse.
Yeah,
I've been incredibly busy.
Like I said, I didn't love the first one, but I'll obviously see the second one because I enjoy the wizarding world of Harry Potter, I should say.
Yeah, well, I'm a huge
the trailer actually looks pretty cool.
I'm a huge fan of the first one. I like the first trailers. I think they came out during Comic-Con. Am I right about that?
Maybe. I can't remember. I haven't been keeping up with it.
I'm pretty sure they came out during Comic-Con, and that's like that. The first trailers were coming out, and I really liked that one. So I imagine I'd like this one too if I saw it.
Yeah, this trailer's super solid, and I'm sure it's going to be a good movie. Maybe we should see it together.
Yeah, I'd love to. Did we see the first one?
I think we did. It was you, me, and Casey, I believe. So, you snacking over there?
Yeah, I'm eating.
Nice. So I know you and I are on a tight schedule this evening, unfortunately. Like I said, it is never not a miracle that this podcast happens.
No, I know.
So I have to drive all the way to Atlanta after this, too. I'm going to try to force myself to go to class tomorrow so I don't have too many absences.
Godspeed.
Because you fail if you have too many absences at SCAD, and they don't excuse anything, which really blows. I could lose an arm, and they'd be like, well, sucks to be you.
You only lost one arm? Come on.
Yeah. I mean, I get it to an extent because on the quarterly system, you only have so many classes and you condense a lot of stuff into that short period of time. So I get it. And I'm sure if it was ever a real problem, like let's say I got in a horrific car accident and was bedridden for 3 weeks, then you could probably appeal it somehow if you were keeping up with your work. Like, for example, I did my work online today, even though I wasn't in class. Yeah. Which goes to show how pointless class can be most of the time. But I'm gonna try to go tomorrow. We'll see how. We'll see if I survive and can make it to next week's episode of the podcast. I'd love that. But your gaming endeavors sound rather exciting, Jacob. I was going to comment on Destiny, saying I've heard nothing but great things about Forsaken. People seem to be genuinely stoked about it, and I've heard a lot of headlines saying that Forsaken is what Destiny 2 should have been at launch, which is pretty cool to hear, I guess. It's also sad to hear, but I'm glad they finally hit that milestone.
Yeah, they just can't seem to, hit the mark on the launches. I don't know what's up. It seems like they start making a game, then like halfway through they have to scrap everything and they put something back together, and I don't know, man. But I will say this: the hobby in Destiny is back and it's better than ever. Like when I log on at the weekly reset, Garrett, there are too many things to do. Like I can't do everything. Like that's
wonderful.
That's what I've always wanted it to be. I want it to kind of feel like an MMO. I want it to feel overwhelming. So that's another reason why I'm happy with the state of it right now.
Yeah, glad to hear it. I was going to say, I'm also impressed that you've taken this long to beat Spider-Man. Out of everyone who has it in their possession, I'm sure you're one of the very few who have yet to beat it.
I'm taking it my time. I have a friend at work that's also kind of around the same part as me, so we're kind of like talking about it. But yeah, I'm playing it very slowly.
Yeah, I enjoy that web swinging so much that even this week when I've been bedridden, in between other stuff I've been playing, I'll just drop in for 15 to 20 minutes just to swing around for pleasure.
Yeah, see to me, that's really telling of how much you like the game if you just like getting on to web swing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be doing that till the next one comes out easily. Of course, I'm losing my mind out of excitement for specifically New Game Plus, but also the DLC.
Yeah,
I'm very sad it's taken them this long to put out New Game Plus because that's all I've wanted since beating it. And I don't want to start over because you acquire so much throughout the game that it'd feel like I'm taking a major step back in terms of gameplay if I have to reacquire all those skills. So I'd rather just wait for New Game Plus and start fresh with everything at my disposal. But DLC, man, very excited for that.
Yeah, when's that come out? Do you know?
I can't remember the exact date. Maybe it's October 19th. It may be a different day. I can't remember. I just know Black Cat DLC, The Heist, is in October. So fairly soon. But in addition to dabbling in Spider-Man, I've been playing Resident Evil 4. I'm in the third act of the game, nearing the end. I'm in the castle portion. If you've played Resident Evil 4, you probably know what I'm talking about. But I'm venturing through the castle as Leon with the president's daughter, and I can't deny that every time I'm with her, I can't help but think of My Date with the President's Daughter from Disney Channel. And the theme song I'm just constantly singing while killing these horrific individuals trying to stab and chainsaw us to death. All I can think of, my date with the president's daughter, my date with her. That song. My stomach hurts laughing. I've been just singing that song, playing the game the entire time, but really, really fun in spite of it being, I think, 13 years old now, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just still, I mean, as tanky as Leon feels, there's just something about that game that has a whole lot of charm and has that classic Resident Evil feel that I'm familiar with, at least from playing a portion of 1 and a portion of 5, all of 6. I know 6 is more of an action game, but more recently was 7. It just has that Resident Evil appeal that I've grown to admire over the last few years. And again, it is just another reminder of how stoked I am to play Resident Evil 2, just based on the refinements they made to the physics engine and the presentation, and just how that remake is truly the ultimate remake of an original version of a game, how it's completely built new from the ground up. So, and I'm getting to know Leon a bit. He is absolutely hilarious in the cheesiest way possible, and I mean that in a good way. I can't remember what he says to this evil, like, I don't know how you describe this guy, this weird cultist guy. And this at the castle at the end says something like, "I'm gonna take you and I don't know, poison you and the president's daughter," or something. Whatever he says about the disease they're trying to spread, and Leon's like, "No thanks, bro," or he says like, "I don't think so, bro," or something like that.
Anytime I hear the name, anytime I hear the name Leon, I think of Leon from Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. So. But he's a phenomenal character, and I'm excited to see his start that he's actually referenced in Resident Evil 4. He talks to one of these guys. He's like, yeah, first time I ever dealt with this outbreak was on my first day as a cop in Raccoon City when the outbreak started. He's like, that was my first and last day as a cop. So I'm like, I'm excited to experience the night of Leon's first day as a cop dealing with that outbreak in Raccoon City. That's very exciting.
Yeah, so let me ask you, so how does Resident Evil work? Like, is 2 lead into 4? Like, is it, like, are they all chronological? Like, what's going on there?
I'm not an expert. I'm not even going to try to pretend to explain it, but I know the first one is Chris Redfield and What's-Her-Face. The second one is Leon and his sister. I think it's his sister. The third one, I have no knowledge of the third one. The fourth one is Leon, President's daughter. Fifth one is Chris Redfield again. Sixth one is all of them in that game, and then the seventh was Baker Family with Chris Redfield making that cameo at the end.
Yeah.
So
wait, so
I'm very interested to see post.
Who was the character in the seventh one? Like, who are we playing as?
We were playing Ethan. Remember his name's Ethan?
Oh yeah, that's right.
They were just random people when that outbreak happened. I can't remember exactly how the story played out, but remember that big, it's like basically a glorified incident that happens at the Baker household. And then Chris Redfield and Umbrella, I think he's working with Umbrella, show up at the end to kind of clean things up.
Mm-hmm.
So I loved Resident Evil 7. I'm interested to see what direction they take post Resident Evil 2's remake into Resident Evil 8, I presume. what they'll do, if they'll keep it first person or they'll go back to third person, kind of in the vein of Resident Evil 2, or at least the remake. But a lot to speculate on, and of course, like I said, I'm loving 4, so just gets me stoked for 2. In addition to that, I played, what were you going to say?
I'd like to see both. Give me third and first. Like GTA.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, as long as they have that new physics engine and that visceral violence they have in Resident Evil 2, that just blows my mind. I hope they continue that. I'm sure they will. But anyway, in addition to that, like I said, I've been web swinging in Spider-Man. I played a bit of Forza Horizon 4 for COG coverage. That game's really awesome. I'm not too fond of racing games, but Forza, as we know, is basically the king of all racing games at the moment. They are basically unrivaled. I know Gran Turismo used to be kind of the hot shot of the racing genre, but it's basically fallen behind over the last decade. And I never really heard too many good things about Gran Turismo. I think it was called Turbo. And yeah, so Forza is phenomenal in every way, graphically, performance-wise, audio. I mean, across the board, just everything about it is basically flawless. And I had no complaints about with what little I played. I think I played about 10 hours of it. And just the open world's awesome to drive around in. All the different vehicles you can unlock are cool. Crap ton of different events you can compete in, whether they're off-road races or street races or stunt competitions. All kinds of crazy stuff that's in there. It's cool. A lot of customization too, not only with the vehicles, of course, but with your personal character. Kind of a new touch. Soundtrack's cool. So that's all I can really say about a racing game, I guess. But really solid racer. I have nothing else to add, but I've been playing that.
Let me ask you this. Is there like a car that you've kind of particularly gravitated towards or that you've unlocked?
I quickly forget the names of cars. Sometimes I forget the name of my own car, if I'm being honest, because I care so little about cars. But I definitely admire the look of certain cars. I like the supercars, of course, because they're the fastest.
Yeah.
But
okay, I just thought I'd ask. I didn't know if you.
Yeah, I can't remember the names of any of the cars, but a lot of cars that look awesome that I've enjoyed driving. That's for sure.
Gotcha, dude.
So, but yeah, I still wish I could have that driving machine that I played at E3 for the opening demo when you drive through all the different seasons. I was going to say that's a great touch too. The seasons really mix things up as far as the way the cars react to your environment.
Yeah,
and just the look of the world, how it's constantly changing week after week. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Which ones did you experience? Have you experienced all the seasons or what?
Yeah, you experience all of them at the very beginning. It gives you sort of a taste of what they're like. But I think when the game's now that it's rolling, the seasons change weekly. So every week it'll be a different season and new challenges arise and there's daily challenges that happen. So they've really poured a lot into the support and replayability of the game and to keep people coming back, and jumping in and out of multiplayer is super easy as well. So they've killed it over there. I think it's Playground Games. And again, I know there's a lot of speculation as to if they're working on the next Fable. I think from a presentation standpoint, if they are indeed working on Fable, it'll be gorgeous and incredible. Gameplay wise, I'll be interested. I mean, their open worlds are awesome for a racing game. You know, Fable's a whole nother beast as far as an open world role playing game is concerned, especially after all the games that have come out since Fable 3, as far as open world RPGs in a medieval setting. So if they are working on it, I have faith it'll look pretty, that's for sure. And I'm sure riding a horse, if you're riding a horse in the game, will feel pretty good too.
Are you comparing a horse to a car?
Yeah, because you know, when you break down game mechanics, as far as traversal is concerned, all that really is like maneuvering and moving you from point A to point B in a certain way. So I imagine they're very familiar with just traversal in video games in general.
Oh yeah, sure. And if they're not, you know, they'll hire someone that is, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be great. That's kind of besides the point. That's just my mind wandering on these crazy pills I'm on. I started today. I think I'm allowed to say this just because it's embargo hasn't lifted, but content's coming out and people are saying they're playing it. I'm playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey for COG as well. Again, for video coverage leading into later into the month. But this thing about Assassin's Creed, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm grateful for any opportunity I have to not only play a game early, but contribute to any gaming website for that matter. It's just a great privilege to be able to do that. But for some reason, man, I just can't get into Assassin's Creed anymore. Even with Origins, as gorgeous as that game is and as great as the cast is, And as interesting as it is to explore some of the parts of that open world, just something about that gameplay just doesn't click with me anymore. And I think it's because even though it's definitely refined since Black Flag and whatever came out after Black Flag, all those crappy ones like Unity and Syndicate and all those games, they've come a long way, but there's still that slight Assassin's Creed jank to them that just really bothers me for some reason. I don't know why that is.
Oh, I get it, man.
But the thing about the positives about Odyssey, the world is just absolutely gorgeous. Of course, Origins is beautiful, but this is even more beautiful, I think, because you have the beaches and the giant statues of the Greek figures, and there's the naval combats back in it and everything.
Yes.
So what little I've seen, I just started today grinding out videos, but the world is beautiful. A lot of the facial animations are pretty solid as well in conversations. I like how they've added, making decisions in the story and certain quests and how they play out and everything is pretty cool. What's weird about it is that they've just added things that we've already seen in other games before. I think that's why it isn't blowing my mind. And I don't fault anyone for being stoked for this game, because I've seen a lot of hype for this game, and for me personally, I just don't understand it at all. And I imagine it's like when I say I love Hunt Showdown, and people sometimes laugh at me when I say that. Like, I get some things just don't appeal to others, and for me, that's kind of Assassin's Creed. I don't get why there's so much hype for it, but it feels like Origins for the most part. The combat feels just as smooth as Origins did. Animations are great. Open world's beautiful. And I've heard just from other people rumblings on Twitter that the characters are really awesome in this game. And some people have said they like it even more than Origins. So I'm going to continue, obviously, because I need to. And I'm hoping it grabs me, because I'd like to kind of dive into that and really consume it before we get Red Dead later this month. But at the moment, man, the first, 5 or 6 hours, it is not blowing my mind. And again, I don't even think there's anything objectively wrong with it. There's something about it that just doesn't click with me at all.
Yeah. Wait, so Red Dead's coming out this month? What?
Or October, sorry.
Yeah, I'm just messing with you.
I keep thinking it's October, because I keep having to talk about the first few days of October with my work and school and everything. It'll be October on Monday, right? Sunday? I think Monday is October 1st.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Red Dead's very close, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But I don't want people to leave this podcast thinking I think Assassin's Creed Odyssey sucks. It doesn't suck at all. Just something about it isn't clicking with me for some reason.
Too late, they've already clicked off.
Yeah. But I will say one of the cool things, some of the stealth animations when you stealth kill people are super brutal. They're awesome.
Yeah.
So, and again, it may even be even more exciting later into the game. I've only played about 5 or 6 hours, so I've yet to play the naval combat. I've yet to explore some of the grander parts of the open world. But gameplay-wise, it hasn't done anything that's blown my mind yet, aside from what they've done with the previous Assassin's Creed. So we'll see. But regardless, thankful to be playing that. And I think that's all I've been playing this week.
Very good.
If I'm not mistaken. I think that's about it.
Well, would you like to jump into the news, man?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right, well, let me hit you with this. Hey, man, what's the news?
Dude. Ladies and gentlemen, again, this is the It's Obvious podcast. Thank you for tuning in. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, everywhere, every service you can probably ever imagine. It's pretty much there. I'll say that. And we thank you guys for tuning in. Even if you're on youtube.com/ItsObviousGaming, we encourage you to subscribe if you haven't already. We plan to have some fall content on YouTube. That'd be great. I can't even think straight anymore. The more I talk, the more I'm losing my mind. So I'm just going to jump into the news, Jacob. How about that?
Okay.
Thank you all for tuning in. Let's see here. I'll get the boring stuff out of the way first. Not really boring, but less interesting in my opinion. And then we'll talk about Red Dead, because that's the most exciting by far.
KK.
Announced today, it's actually kind of good we took this long to get into the podcast this week. Sony is allowing crossplay on PS4 for Fortnite.
Yeah.
Exclusively. It's in beta, I think, starting in a few days. And I imagine if that goes well, they will expand it to other titles too. Maybe it'll be a game-by-game basis. Depending on what the title is, they'll choose whether or not they want to have crossplay. But that's a good step in the right direction, I think. I was never totally up in arms about Sony needing to have crossplay. I mean, I get why they were so against it for a while, but I think it's cool that they're satisfying fan demand for people that wanting to play crossplay with their buddies on PS4 if they're on Xbox or PC and or at least Xbox and Nintendo Switch and all that.
Oh yeah, this is definitely a good thing. I can't see it as any other way. It's definitely really
it's not a bad thing at all. So that's cool, and I'm sure it'll be fine, and I'm sure they will expand it to other titles in the near future. So that's pretty cool. I'm glad people that were separated from their pals on old Fortnite they get to play together. So that's cool.
Yeah, dude.
And sad news, Telltale Games is officially shutting down to a point where they're only going to have about 25 employees left. The details have shifted a bit since the initial announcement, but I think over 250 people were let go without severance, which really blows. And Wolf Among Us 2 was canceled, of course. Walking Dead is potentially canceled, the final season. I think episode 2 just came out or is coming out soon.
I think it came out this week, but
yeah.
They I don't know if you know this, but Telltale is talking to potentially finish the series with partner companies.
Right. And then I see all these people on Twitter, other game developers, telling them like, "Oh, forget about that. Pay your employees severance instead of worrying about your IP and everything."
Yeah.
So sucky situation to say the least. All those people that lost their jobs. I mean, thankfully the games industry seems to be very welcoming as far as people losing their jobs, like the Visceral situation and other companies that have shut down over the last few years, when the industry with open arms says, "Oh, we're hiring, come apply here." So I'm sure, hopefully, the majority of those employees will find work elsewhere. But it does suck to be pouring your heart into a project and it just be swept out from under you, like recently with Visceral and Ragtag. So,
I mean,
major bummer for them. And we wish them nothing but the best, of course. I never played Wolf Among Us, but I heard it was just excellent. And it's a shame that we won't get to see the sequel, because if that had reviewed well, I would have perhaps played the original at some point. But I don't know. The thing about Telltale is they're as excellent as the narrative in their games are. They've never really grabbed me either. I liked Batman a lot, especially because it was a very original Batman story with a unique twist on the characters I'd never seen before. But I guess I didn't like it enough to play the follow-up season, because I just did not feel at all compelled to do so. And even the great things I've heard about Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us, I've still never brought myself to play them. I think it's just because those games never quite grab me from a gameplay standpoint. I really enjoy the stories, but I'd almost rather watch them as if they were a TV show on YouTube after the fact instead of having to just play through it myself.
Right, yeah.
But, never really grabbed me, their games, but it is still sucks to hear that a company can go under like that. And there's been all kinds of reasons people have been talking about, many factors that led to this point. I was unaware of the fact that one of their co-owners, I think, sued them over the summer for something.
Oh, really? I didn't know this.
There were multiple factors that led to their demise, it sounds like, and I don't know all the details there, but they're out there if you guys are interested. I'm sure most of you have already heard this story if you keep up with general gaming news on Twitter and whatnot.
So, Garrett, before we continue, you're cutting out really bad for me on Discord. Can you maybe try going to the other voice channel and then coming back? See if that helps.
Yeah, let me see. This happens to me in Preston a lot. I think it's just like a glitch with Discord that happens. Okay, I left and came back. Is it any smoother?
It is right now. So,
all right, we'll see. It may just be something we have to suffer through, unfortunately, because I think that's a regular Discord issue at the moment.
Or maybe we just use a different voice chat later. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it even did it in Goopy when we tried it in Goopy, our other
Goopy
channel we have. But yeah, Telltale, that really, really blows, and we hope all of them find work in the coming days and weeks.
Yeah, there's some talented folks. They'll land on their feet.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially from a writing standpoint, it's really mind blowing. So
yeah, I mean,
think it'll be good.
I will say, from my personal point of view, I never really played any of their games, so maybe I contributed to their demise. I don't know. Depends on what your point of view is, but I do feel bad. It always sucks when a developer loses their job. They're just trying to make a living like everyone else is, and it's never something we're happy to see. So I know I'm just repeating obvious shit, but I do want it to be known that I do feel for all of those affected.
Yeah, likewise, my friend, likewise. What was I going to say? What's next? I apologize for the lack of organization here. As I said, it's been a rough weekend and week leading up to this point. Did you see the trailer for Death Stranding with Troy Baker in it?
No. Tell me about it.
I don't know what I can tell you because I don't understand it as usual, but I still stand by the fact that I think Hideo Kojima is being overhyped. I don't doubt the guy at all. I mean, clearly he's made some killer video games in his day, but I think people praise this guy like he's the second coming of game development, and I still don't understand why people are so stoked for Death Stranding. It just makes no sense, and I'm not mad because I don't understand it. I just, even what I've seen, nothing has astounded me yet. All we've seen is some weird, ghostly, like, invisible alien creatures stomping around in mud. We've seen some babies attached to individuals with spacesuits on, and we've seen Norman Reedus walk up a bunch of mountains with like a pack on his back. So I don't get why people are so stoked for Death Stranding, but I'm definitely keeping an open eye and ear for it, because if this game's going to be as awesome as people are expecting it to be, then of course I'm going to be playing it. And I'm one of the few people who have said I absolutely loved Metal Gear Solid 5. So that reason alone has me very interested to see what Death Stranding will become. But at the moment, I just do not get why people are hyped at all. When we see a substantial gameplay demo of exactly what you'll be doing in this game, I think then I'll be on the hype train. So I'm still reserving my hype. But the trailer was fine. I guess it's cool to know that Troy Baker's in the game because he's a great voice actor.
It seems like
just
everyone's
great actor
in the game.
in general. Yeah, so I'm sure it'll be cool. And I loved him as, I think, which Ocelot was he in Metal Gear Solid 5? What does he say at the beginning of Metal Gear Solid 5? He's like, "Let the legend come back to life."
Yeah.
I can't remember what he says. But I really liked him in Metal Gear, and I'm sure he'll be great here too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
trailer, no idea what happened, but it's cool to know that Troy Baker's in the game.
I think I'm most intrigued from Death Stranding just because I still don't know what the fuck it is. So that like that's why I'm interested in it still. But I'm kind of with you, like it just from what we've seen so far. Like it's not blowing me away because we haven't really seen much still.
Cool title, awesome logo for Kojima Productions too.
Oh yeah.
And I admired the fact that he's one of the PlayStation exclusive developer rock stars that there are now. I mean, think about how cool. Think about like the ragtag gang of rock stars that Sony has in their first party lineup. They have Cory Barlog, Neil Druckmann, Hideo Kojima, Brian Intihar from Insomniac. They're all total rock stars now because of these games they've made for Sony. And I think that's what's another part that separates Sony from Microsoft is that, I mean, Microsoft has had their rock stars in the past, but at the moment, you can't really think of any one particular individual that kind of stands out as one of those rock stars. Yeah, he's the man, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
he's the only rock star they need.
Sony definitely has as far as personality-wise goes, they've definitely done a good job on that front, for sure.
Yeah, totally. I mean, they are all total notable figures now because of these games. And of course, the game directors, of course, but also even some of the designers and art leads that have gained quite the following on Twitter as well after these games have come out. So it's really cool to see them receive the recognition they deserve for the hard work they poured into these games for years at a time and see it all pay off for them. And just the fact that the majority of PlayStation exclusives we've received this generation, notably the Order 1886 being the best of all of them, of course, have all been excellent. So hopefully that trend is continued with Death Stranding and Last of Us 2, of course, and Days Gone.
Yeah, I really wish that a Sony developer would pick up the Thief franchise. Like, what are they doing? They need to pick up Thief so we can experience an even better game. Like,
I agree.
Some ragtag team made, the Thief that we had back in when the consoles released, But I feel like if Sony...
I mean, Thief is still the best game I've played this generation. There's no doubt about it. But I think in the right hands, it could go beyond plus ultra, is what I'm trying to say with the Thief franchise.
Yes, I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah. So, yeah, Sony's killing it. Good for them. Let's see. Let me pull up this Fallout map article I have.
Is this for 76?
Yeah, it may have been something cool.
It may have been.
Oh, yeah, that's just the name of it. I may pronounce this wrong, forgive me. Fallout 76 map is called Appalachia, I believe. So, I think maybe for the Appalachian Mountains.
I'm sorry, I just fell asleep. What?
How does, in this question from the Fallout Twitter says, how does Appalachia differ from the Commonwealth or the Capital Wasteland? It starts with a guitar sword. I'm looking at a sword that's made out of an old guitar.
Oh.
So We're going to hear a ton of Fallout 76 info, I think, post next week. Okay. There's I think there's a media event coming up very soon that a lot of people are going to be attending to cover that game. So we'll be hearing a lot about that soon, which is exciting. And the beta starting next month too. So stoked for that, brah.
Is that a pre-order beta?
I think it is, yeah.
Bastards.
Yeah, I pre-ordered on PC on Bethesda's launcher. So.
Gotcha, dude.
Yeah, you should do that. I know me and Preston are going to go neck deep in that. And what's cool is that your progression in the beta translates to the full game, so it isn't in vain. You're basically starting the game early.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't decided if I want to play that yet. I really don't know.
Oh, 76?
Yeah, 76.
Yeah, I get that. I know me and Preston are going to have an absolute ball with that, and that's going to be a great game to dabble in between Red Dead and what else is coming out post-October?
Oh.
Call of Duty Blackout. I'll be playing a lot of Blackout.
Oh, dude, that's what I'm looking forward to is Blackout.
Yeah, I mean, I had so much fun with that beta. You know what I love seeing too is the positivity on Call of Duty's YouTube channel now. They did like a highlight reel of like the top 10 Blackout plays from the beta, and there was so much positivity in the comments, and it made me so happy because I get why people have hated on Call of Duty in the past. I don't fully agree with the hatred at all, some of the blind hatred people have towards Call of Duty, but it always bums me out to see just an overwhelming amount of negativity towards anything, especially things that don't really deserve it. But to see all the hype and positivity for Blackout in particular is just really cool. And I think, like Preston said, it's going to be a really big deal when it comes out. And I know the three of us and I'm sure members of the community are going to have a grand old time with that mode when it launches.
Indeed.
Very soon, actually. I think it comes out.
I think it's a couple weeks, honestly.
Yeah, it's very close. I know it's before Red Dead, obviously. So.
Yeah, I think it's either a 1 or 2
I can't remember.
weeks.
Oh, yeah. It's Battlefield that comes out after Red Dead.
Oh, they pushed back, remember? It's back in November now.
Yeah, it comes out after Red Dead. I think November 14th, if I'm not mistaken. So
I'm just gonna say that.
I think that's the only other big title coming out this year, unless I'm totally forgetting something. I can't remember.
I mean, I think there's Odyssey. What else is coming out?
Odyssey's out on the 5th. That's out on Tuesday, I think. No, that's out on Friday of next week.
Smash Bros. Keep forgetting about that.
Smash Bros. Yeah, it's a big one. Is Mario Party coming out this year?
I think it's October, yeah.
Okay. I'm excited for that too. We're going to have an awesome Nintendo stream in the near future with predominantly, I'd imagine Mario Party and, of course, Smash especially. But if we did tennis, Mario Kart, Smash, and Party, just like a giant 3 or 4 hour stream one night,
I think we need more hours than that to play all those.
Yeah. But specifically, Smash is going to be excellent for a stream. I look forward to that, especially getting the community together to do that. And this is a random tangent to go on in the middle of the news here, but I want to say to any of you who still tune in, regardless of our delays and missing a week recently, thank you so much for doing so. We can't thank you guys enough for the continued support. Because obviously crap happens, and we do our best to keep this afloat week in and week out. But ultimately, this is just 3 dudes hanging out with anyone who wants to tune in and talk about cool things with us week in and week out. We don't aim to be a super polished or noteworthy or newsworthy podcast. It's ultimately just a reason for us to get together and hang out and talk for a couple hours every week. And to those of you who still continue to do that, whether you've been with us for nearly 4 years or a few weeks, we can't thank you enough for the support, and it's great to have you.
Yeah.
I just want to get that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I meant to say while we were speaking of PlayStation, what do you think of that old PlayStation Classic they have coming out?
I missed all of that.
You still there? Oh, what do you think of the PlayStation Classic that's on its way?
I think it's fine, I guess. Like, it doesn't really interest me at all. I'm gonna be honest.
I don't think I'm gonna invest. I'm not ever since the Super Nintendo Classic, which I think it'd still be cool to have that. I could probably find one somewhere, but I don't think I really need any classic editions now that I think about it. I think I'll be okay with passing on this one. Very cool that they're putting that out there with 20 games. I think they've only revealed 5 of them so far. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure the rest will be revealed in time. I know Metal Gear is highly requested.
Yeah, isn't like Chrono Trigger one of them?
Yeah, so I'm sure it'll be really cool, nice classic commodity for hardcore PlayStation fans to have this holiday season. So
yeah, I feel like there's a lot more Nintendo games that people are really itching to play rather than like old
original
Sony
PlayStation games.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure hardcore PlayStation fans that have been with it since the beginning. I mean, I had PlayStation 1 as well back in the day, but I didn't play too many of the classics. That was right around the time I was getting really involved with games. So I mean, some of the ones that stick out to me, that I don't even know if they were exclusives or what at the time, but like Jedi Power Battles. I played a skateboarding game, a NASCAR game, nothing that was really notable. I never played Metal Gear until Metal Gear Solid 5, believe it or not. So that's one of the reasons I like that game so much, where hardcore Metal Gear fans weren't too fond of it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if I was to buy one of those, or like one of those old classic systems, I think I would go with the SNES for sure, and as opposed to like the PlayStation Classic.
Yeah, if I could have any, that'd be the one I'd want. And of course, there are also rumors of the N64 Classic that I think is inevitable. I don't know why they'd stop at SNES and not go to N64.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
I feel like that one would be more highly demanded than all the rest would be the N64.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, the SNES was huge, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
I've heard also people say that there weren't too many amazing games on N64. Whenever I think about it, I think about
it's all about perspective, right?
Yeah, Zelda and Smash Bros. And all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I that's the one Nintendo console I didn't have was N64. I just played it at Preston's house and other friends' houses, which is weird to say.
Wait, he actually let you play? You didn't just watch?
I mostly watched, but like I said, I'd sneak on when he wasn't paying attention a couple times.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I watched Preston play a lot of games as a child.
I just realized we're going to have to pay for a Nintendo Online subscription when we try to play Smash.
You're right.
That's gonna suck.
I will pay for it for a little while. I don't think it's $20, isn't it? You still there?
Yeah, you cut out. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, it's $20 for the online service, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that's not asking too much at all. I'll do that for a little while, at least to play Smash and Mario Party for a while. Yeah. And if I feel like taking a break, I'll just take a couple months off, I guess. But
yeah, I might try it.
So I'm
kind of interested to see some of those classic NES games, see how they perform.
Yeah, it's a nice little perk, I guess.
Yeah.
What else can we fit in here before we talk about Red Dead? I think there's only a couple other tiny things. Talk about PlayStation Plus free games for October.
Oh, tell me.
Courtesy of Pace on Discord. I actually happened to stumble upon this right before we started recording. So Pace, shout out to you, man. We appreciate it.
A member of the community providing news. Wow.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Friday the 13th is coming to PS4. I never played it, but there's a lot of excitement for that when it first launched. I know Greg Miller was totally obsessed with it. That's mostly where I heard about it, was through Greg Miller's Twitter. So that, Laser League on PS4, I played that at E3 in 2017. It's basically, I wouldn't say it's like Rocket League, but it's like from a top-down perspective. You play these skaters with these laser beams and try to score goals. Can't remember exactly how it is, but it's kind of cool. Master Reboot, not sure what that is, coming to PS3. The Bridge is coming to PS3. Rocket Birds 2 Evolution, and 2064 read-only memories.
Whoa.
Coming to Vita. Rocket Birds is also coming to Vita.
Lots of bangers.
Totally, dude, totally. I will not be participating in any of those, but it's cool to know if anyone cared. Thank you, Pace. Let's see. I'll ask you about this before we jump into Red Dead. What'd you think of the footage of Joaquin Phoenix in his Joker makeup? Have you seen it?
I think he looks pretty good, I gotta say.
I think he looks pretty cool.
I'll have to see a little more before I make any judgments, but I think he looks pretty solid, man. He's definitely right now, just look-wise, he's one of my favorite-looking Jokers, I think.
Yeah, have you seen the TMZ footage of him in the subway?
I have not, no.
Okay, because the test footage obviously is that where it zooms in on him, shows his face at the end, but there's actually footage of him in full costume walking through a subway. And he looks awesome. His suit is like a reddish color with like an orange shirt, and I can't remember exactly how it looks, but the look, I didn't come up with this either, but other people have said this. He looks like a cross between Cesar Romero's Joker and Heath Ledger's.
Yeah,
I think that hits it right on the head. I think he definitely looks like a cross between those two. And I like that look a lot. I like the simplistic makeup, and I almost wish they'd gone with that look for Jared Leto's Joker, because it just makes Jared Leto's Joker look even stupider, in my opinion.
I feel like we're getting to the point where there's too many Jokers. Like, it's a little overwhelming.
And Jared Leto's Joker still exists, and that's the thing I kind of like that DC's doing differently from Marvel, that I think they should have done from the beginning, is that I think there will be certain portions of their universe that are connected, like Wonder Woman, and I think they may or may not continue with Justice League. I know the cast is probably going to change a bit. We'll see how it goes with Aquaman and the sequel to Wonder Woman, but
yeah,
I think it will mostly be stories that are not connected to each other. Hence their new title called DC Worlds of DC, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So this Joker movie is meant to be an origin for Joker, but not necessarily Jared Leto's Joker. It's just a random Joker movie that hopefully is a one-off and is just a good movie at the end of the day. But Thomas Wayne's in the movie, and if we consider this an Elseworld story, which means it's, DC stories told from a different perspective with characters with like twists on characters. So Thomas Wayne is in this movie, and I think it'd be interesting if maybe Thomas Wayne was already Batman in this movie, and that's kind of a surprise for people. Or they may just play it close to the vest and have him be, of course, Bruce Wayne's father. Maybe Bruce Wayne's a kid in the movie and he has like a cameo or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see if this Joker ever goes up against whether it's Ben Affleck's Batman or another Batman in a later movie at some point. I don't know.
Yo, Garrett, get this $1 billion idea. Joker versus Joker. Have both the Jokers go up against each other. $1 billion idea.
Last one standing gets to be the official Joker.
Yep. Bam.
Yeah, I like that idea. That's definitely what we should do. Joker v. Joker.
No, whoever wins.
Dawn of jokes. I don't know what you call
Dawn of jokes. Winner gets Harley Quinn.
Yeah, good call, man. I'm sure either one of them would be satisfied with that reward.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Joker Harley Quinn movie's happening still as well with Jared Leto.
Yep.
So, and what's her name? Who played Harley Quinn? I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't hear. I'm actually excited for that movie. I hope it's good.
Hopefully it's awesome.
I mean, I hope every movie's good, honestly, but,
Yeah, you and me both. I never wish to see a bad movie.
Yeah.
What did I see? Oh, yeah, I saw Predator recently. And when I first saw it, yeah, I came out of it and was like, that wasn't awful. It was okay. I had some moments. And then as I let it kind of seep into my subconscious over the following days, I realized, I was like, man, that movie sucks so much. It had some good moments for sure. I mean, some of the action moments were kind of cool, but just the overall plot and some of the jokes in it and the humor. I mean, the humor wasn't terrible, and there's a couple funny parts in it that were genuinely funny. But I think overall it was just a very dumb movie. And I wouldn't say it's bad because of that. I know I just said it sucks, but I think for a Predator movie it sucks. But from a movie standpoint, if you go into it as just a fun action comedy with brutal violence in it, I think there's some enjoyment to be had.
Yeah.
And I definitely had a good time. Like Casey and I laughed at it and had a fun time going to see it. But from a Predator standpoint, just in the overall Predator franchise, I think it's one of the worst ones by far. But yeah, it was pretty rough. But a couple cool action moments, a couple funny jokes, but overall it was pretty dissatisfying. But it's what it is. You want to talk about Red Dead finally?
Yes, Garrett.
Let's do it, brah. So there are so many different details from this media preview event that all these outlets recently attended in New York at one of Rockstar's headquarters that it's kind of hard to culminate all of them. So I'm going to pull up a list of that GameSpot wrote to kind of get the ball rolling, and then anything that comes to mind that I've also heard from other outlets, I'll bring up as well, because some of the stuff just sounds so amazing.
Sounds good, Dad.
Let's see. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna list these bullet points, and I'll kind of talk about what I've read and listened to about the game. So, clothes make the outlaw. The game's clothing customization options are comprehensive. Each character will have different sets to coincide with hot and cold weather conditions. The type of clothes you wear will affect Arthur's performance. For example, if you wear a weighty jacket during a hot summer day, your running stamina will take a big hit. Other customizations will allow layering and minor adjustments, like the option to roll up your sleeves or tuck your pants into your boots. Whatever you end up choosing, you're free to craft Arthur into the high plains drifter you want him to be. So that alone, I should have prefaced this by saying it, and other outlets have said this, I think this is exactly what it sounds like. They have made, we've yet to play, but I think it's already safe to assume they've made the most immersive open world anyone's ever seen in a video game. And I think it's because of the culmination of a million tiny little details that make it truly, I think it truly defines living, breathing world more than ever before. Mm-hmm. So many games have said that, and I think many of them have not lived up to that expectation, but this one I think will be the first to truly live up to that phrase. And just that alone sounds so cool. Just the fact that it can be a hot summer day, and if you wear a big trench coat, your stamina will take a hit. Or if you are wearing just a thin shirt in the middle of a snowstorm, it'll affect you differently. And also just the presentation of the way Arthur looks. If you roll up your sleeves or tuck your shirt in, depending on where you're going, people will react to you differently.
Yes.
And I love how you can get caked in mud. I think even IGN even did a video on this in particular, is how big of an impact the mud plays in the game. How the mud, of course, will get caked onto you. And if you walk into a store and you're caked in mud, people will be like, what the hell are you doing? You need to get out of here. And you actually have to bathe and clean your clothes, which I think is cool. And if your horse gets covered in mud, it'll affect its hygiene after a while, and it'll grow, I don't know, dissatisfied is the right word. It'll become upset with you and not do exactly what you wanted to do at all times because you're not taking care of it. So, I mean, that's the thing I got to be careful about explaining all this, because there's so many different paths to go on describing how deep this game goes as far as immersion is concerned. So we'll stick to clothes for now, but I think that's so cool how you can change your clothes depending on the weather conditions and their wear and tear over time. And even just the detail we've been talking about forever, how your hat can be shot off. And there's actually a waypoint on the mini map that shows you where it is if you want to go pick it up again. It'll have like a bullet hole in it, and you have to purchase a new one, I guess, if you want to have it fixed.
Yeah.
But that is just so cool. Just that little detail alone, how much of an impact clothing makes.
Agreed. It's crazy.
Yeah. Next one is you can fire warning shots and whistle for fun. By having your gun unholstered and holding up on the D-pad, you can fire warning shots into the air. This is handy for intimidating people, scaring off animals, or generally being a rowdy buffoon while you're riding around. Speaking of possible buffoonery, you can even whistle at people to get their attention or call your horse. And if you keep holding down the button, you can keep whistling until Arthur runs out of breath. Imagine combining both warning shots and whistling, you'll become the countryside menace you've always dreamed of being. So, in terms of warning shots, this kind of plays into the contextual menu they've added to the game, where you can greet literally any NPC you can lay eyes on. You can talk to any of them and actually have a conversation. So I'll bring up a couple different stories I heard about that I thought sounded so cool. Notably, most recently with Danny O'Dwyer's coverage, he said that he was riding through a field at night, and about 30 yards away, he saw a guy crouched, sneaking through this field with his gun out.
Yeah. And
Danny was like, oh, that's weird. I'm going to go talk to him and see what he's doing. So he rides up to this guy, and he pulls up this menu where he can greet the guy, and he goes, hey, man, what are you doing? The guy's like, dude, get out of here. Just go away. So Danny's like, all right, whatever. So he turns around and he rides away, and all of a sudden he hears a gunshot in the distance behind him. And he turns around, and the guy's like, shit, son, did you see that shot? I nailed him. So Danny rides back over to him and talks to him again. He's like, man, you're a really good shot. And it turns out this guy was hunting like a wolf or something in this field, and he shot this wolf. So Danny gets off his horse and walks with this guy over to the wolf pelt, and they're still talking this whole time. And meanwhile, the guy is skinning the animal, and it shows the entire animation. He scoops up the pelt, walks over to his horse, and the whole animation still plays. He stuffs it into his horse. They have this conversation, and he's like, all right, well, good talking to you. And he just rides away.
That's crazy, man.
And that was an interaction with just a random NPC in the open world that he had. And I thought that was fascinating that he could do that.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah. And that's one of countless stories I have heard like that different people had with different demos that they play. I mean, they all played the same demo virtually, but they all had their own time to go out in the open world for about an hour and just do random things.
Yeah.
And that absolutely blew my mind that you can have interactions with any NPC like that. It's just incredible.
Yeah, just like briefly like seeing all the things that they're doing, it really seems like they're trying to make this like as much of a living, breathing world as anyone has ever tried to do. So
yeah, exactly.
That alone,
and
like hearing
that story alone,
crazy.
yeah, was incredible to me.
Yeah.
It sounds so cool.
Yeah, can you imagine how many other scenarios like that there are?
Oh, I know. That's what's so cool about it, is that not only will that encourage I keep saying incredible, sorry. Not only will that encourage just a ton of replayability, but imagine all the different stories that not only the three of us will have on this podcast, but everyone in the community that we get to share stories with. I think it'll be obvious to have a Red Dead tab on Discord and just share different stories from our experiences.
Yeah.
Because I think we're going to have countless, even in the first few hours of the game, we're all going to have different stories to tell about interactions we've had and experiences we've had in this crazy open world. So that alone has me so excited to just talk about this game with people for months on end, it seems.
For sure.
So that's pretty cool. Next bullet point is hunted materials can rot and be damaged.
What?
The components you acquire, the components you acquire from hunting all have an expiration date, and if you're not careful, time will eventually take its toll, and both the fresh pelt and carcass you've acquired will start to rot and attract vermin, reducing its value and making you generally unpleasant to be around. Not only that, but if you use a firearm to kill an animal opposed to an arrow or knife, its pelt will be damaged and will sell for less at local stores. So we kind of heard about that, but again, I love that if you go on a nice hunt, get a couple pelts, a carcass, and you take forever to get back to either a general store to sell it or your camp to load it off, it will rot and attract vermin, and you have to deal with that situation. So I love that. If you're dressed wrong, it'll affect your stamina. Your carcasses will rot if you don't get them back to a certain place in time.
Yeah.
So that's super cool. Something I was just thinking of when I was thinking about that. What was it? It was important. What's wrong with me? I was just thinking about it.
Yeah, you're an
carcasses.
idiot.
Yeah, I am an idiot. Let me think for a second. It was really cool. I don't want to forget about talking about it. Dude, I am blanking so hard. Carcass. I'm not gonna make people wait. I'll just move on and maybe it'll come to me. Cleaning, grooming, and feeding yourself. Speaking of unpleasantness, NPCs will react not just to the stink of your rotting deer corpse, but also if you haven't taken a bath in a while. Arthur needs to clean and change his clothes every once in a while. Since townsfolk may refuse to talk or serve him based on his appearance, having blood in your jacket doesn't attract the best reactions. Time also has an effect on Arthur's hair, which actually grows longer. Customizing Arthur's haircut and facial hair styling is also dependent on length, since you're not allowed to cut things shorter, but you won't have access to options that require more hair, a more realistic take on the customization compared to GTA 5. Okay, before I forget, this is what it was. So that alone is awesome. Your hair and beard can grow longer, and you can trim those to keep them in shape or just grow it longer if you feel like it. Imagine you look a little more bandit-like if you have a thick beard and long hair. But I think that's great also that, let's say you're clean shaven. You're like, oh, I want to have a beard all of a sudden. You can't just go in a barber and add it to your face.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's a little more realistic. You actually have to have it grow out. In addition to that, of course, bathing is a part of it, which I think is cool, as well as eating. So if you eat too much, depending on what the actual dish is you're consuming, you'll either grow fatter or skinnier if you're not eating enough. So I think that's cool. Not only is the hunting part of making money and supplying stuff for your camp if you choose to do that, but maintaining your own hygiene and your own health as far as being in good shape for Arthur. So it's almost like a sim in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Garrett, to interrupt you for a second. Do you think this game might be too realistic for some people? This is a lot of stuff that you have to keep track of. I
think this will, it might be for some people, but I think a lot of people will be totally into this idea because I think that's what people have loved about Grand Theft Auto in the past is ridiculous as those games can be, they are grounded to an extent, specifically with their physics. And I remember rumblings of GTA 5 before it came out. People were like, oh man, I heard that you have to actually fill up your gas tank and stuff in this game. And I think people like the idea of Rockstar developing almost a sim-like experience. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are really going to get into this. I know I will. I mean, it appeals to me greatly because, like I said, it defines living, breathing world to the fullest extent, it sounds like. And that's what's amazing is that we're not even through this full list yet. Yeah. And just these reasons alone are already living up to that name. So I think that's so cool. Does it appeal to you? Because I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, most of this stuff does sound really cool. I just hope that when I'm playing the game, I don't get overwhelmed with stuff that I have to worry about in the back of my mind to keep me from really enjoying the game, if that makes sense.
Right.
I don't know how I'm going to feel until I actually play the game, obviously. So I assume I'll be fine. I assume they're going to create it so it's not overwhelming to the point where it's always it's always in the back of your mind, oh my god, I got to keep track of the dirt on my shirt. I don't think it'll be a situation.
I don't think it'll be a situation where if you get too skinny, it's you're going to die if you don't eat. I think it'll just be an added cosmetic type thing. Again, if you're not in good shape, maybe if you're overweight, for example, that might affect your stamina as well or other stats.
Oh, I'm in great shape. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know you are. I imagine if Arthur's in certain shape, it might affect his stats in a certain way.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll ever be to a point where it'll drastically affect everything. I think it'll just minorly affect things.
Yeah. I just thought I'd bring that up because I know a lot of not everyone's as hardcore of a gamer as we are. So
Yeah,
Some people
totally.
like the gaminess of games.
Yeah. Speaking of maintaining your hygiene, you have to maintain your weapons as well because they can degrade and break. Or I don't think I don't think they can break actually, but they can take wear and tear depending on what they've been through. If they can get waterlogged if you jump into a river with your weapons on your back.
Mm.
They can experience rust and decay over time. So of course, cleaning them keeps them in the best possible shape and keeps the stats up. I love that as well. Speaking of which, I know this is so minor to some people because this is already in a bunch of games, but I've wanted this so desperately in a game that's meant to be this grounded and realistic to an extent, is that you can only carry the weapons that you can actually physically carry. You no longer have a weapon wheel like in GTA where you can carry like a rocket launcher and 4 assault rifles, 8 pistols, a bunch of melee weapons. So it's no longer that ridiculous. You can only carry, I think, 1 or 2 rifles and a couple handguns max. And I bet, no one really mentioned this, but I bet if you're carrying a bunch of weapons on your back, you'll be slower running around.
Like Witcher 3 or something.
Yeah. So I imagine if you have like a rifle and a bow, like I think my loadout would be probably a rifle, a bow, a handgun, and like a knife probably. But of course, depending on the situation. But I love that as well. And you can only see the weapons on his back that you're actually carrying, and they don't disappear into his back like Tomb Raider, how me and Preston were complaining about that recently.
Yeah.
Again, I don't expect that of every game, but a game that seems to be this grounded, like we were talking about, I think needs to be that way. And I was very happy to hear that. So I think that's awesome.
For sure.
You'll get a camera. It says, we started a side quest during our time with Red Dead Redemption 2, and the mission giver handed Arthur a camera. This camera can be used at any time via your inventory, and yes, the first thing we did was take a selfie. These aren't arm-out handheld selfies, though. The mode is titled Self-Portrait, and will frame Arthur's whole body as if the camera were set upon a tripod. You'll be able to adjust expressions and poses, too. Expect to see a whole bunch of self-portraits depicting Arthur squatting in front of various things on Twitter once the game releases. That's pretty cool. This picture has like an old school, one of the first cameras that ever existed. I can't remember what it's called.
So you're a big fan of photo modes. How do you feel about this? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's exciting. I even hope that, I mean, I'm sure since it's a video game, it'll be the type of camera where you can clearly see what everything is and it's crystal clear for the sake of just sharing in-game screenshots. But I almost wish it was even realistic to the point where it looked old-timey every time you took a picture and looked like it was super aged and of that time period.
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty cool. But I don't know if it'll go into that much detail.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
I won't go into this one because we already read about it, but you can lose your hat. I think that's awesome. There's a kill cam that changes depending on your honor. I can't remember reading about this. It says, when you take out the final opponent during a gunfight, a kill cam will frame that final blow a la Max Payne 3. This will change depending on Arthur's morale standing. If you've been a naughty cowboy, these kill cams will be gorier. If you've been upstanding and honorable, they'll be framed in a more heroic fashion like those from the classic film westerns of old. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I didn't know about that. You can break enemies' weapons. Speaking of heroic behavior, if you want to go to the more non-lethal route, it's possible to shoot weapons out of enemies' hands. Not only that, but you can even shoot at their weapons and break them. This seems like a handy technique if you're looking to be an outlaw with a heart of gold as opposed to a straight-up cold-blooded killer. See, I think that's so cool. Think about someone tries to rob you in the middle of a road. It's like, stick him up, boy. And you use Deadeye to not only blow the pistol out of his hand, but basically shatter it to pieces by shooting around through his hand and through the weapon, and it disables him. And then you just be like, F off. It can go away. I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
So I think it's great, too, that... I know another cool encounter I'll share with an NPC that blew my mind. This was from, I think it was from Easy Allies. I can't remember who it was from. Pretty sure it was Easy Allies. They said I think Rockstar showed them that you could do this. They were on a road with their horse, and there's this guy with a horse and carriage coming up on the opposite side of them. And they pull up, and they threaten them with their gun. And the guy freaks out and pulls his gun on Arthur, and they're just kind of in a standoff. And they're like, all right, watch this. So Arthur's like, all right, sorry, man. I don't know why I tried to pick a fight with you. I'll let you go about your way. So Arthur puts his gun away, and the guy's like, yeah, that's what I thought. So the guy, I think the guy was pulling his horse and carriage on the road, and he was walking. So the guy had his gun out, and Arthur puts his gun away and starts walking away. I know the guy starts walking away. Sorry, my details are all skewed. This is the correct version. So Arthur stands there. They're like, all right, fine. Sorry, you can go about your way. The guy starts walking away, but he keeps his gun out, and he keeps looking over his shoulder back at Arthur to make sure he isn't following him. And he does that all the way up a road until he's out of sight. He kept looking over his shoulder with his gun out to make sure Arthur wasn't going to follow him.
That's crazy.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, people seem to remember things you do and say. And another cool encounter was that they went up to a random couple at a farm, just on their porch talking. And Arthur walked up and they greeted him. He's like, "Howdy, how are you?" And they just look at him. They're like, "What do you want?" He's like, "I'm just saying hello." They're like, "All right." And he's like, "All right, bye then." And he just walked away. So I thought that was so cool. You can just walk up and talk to anyone and they'll react to you in a number of ways. Not only just depending on who they are and what they do, but who you are and what you've been doing and how you look and everything. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, this is so much stuff, man. Like,
yeah,
this is crazy.
Horse dressage and drifting techniques. Horses are an important part of Red Dead Redemption 2, but it seems like they're far more capable creatures than they've ever been in previous games. During our hands-on, we were able to rear our horses on his hind legs, perform drifts to change direction quickly, and move our horse precisely by performing dressage techniques. That doesn't go into too much detail, but I've also read about horses that you can have multiple horses in the game and even maintain like a horse stable. Like have a Mustang for traversing quickly, or have a horse that's akin to dealing with battle situations, or a horse that's good for pulling heavy cargo and everything. And of course, you have to maintain their hygiene and brush them and feed them and give them water and blah, 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 and keep them warm, I'd imagine, through snowstorms if you're going through a snowstorm.
Yes.
So I think that's so awesome. That's just a culmination of a lot of cool things. Let me pull up this Kotaku article, make sure I'm not missing anything that's major. But
yeah,
that's the bulk of just a few of the little things we've heard about so far.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry if I wasn't pitching in a whole lot there. Like, you're cutting out like nonstop, dude. Like, I'm trying my best.
Oh, I'm
here.
sorry, man. Let me try doing that thing where I switch again.
Okay.
1 sec. All right, maybe that'll be a little better for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We're going to have to find another way to do this, unfortunately.
We should probably just go back to Skype, honestly, because that never failed us.
I don't think I've never done Skype, but I know you and Preston did when we...
Yeah, we did for a while, and it never cut out like this.
Okay.
I apologize.
Yeah, I don't have this problem with anyone else. I don't know why it's just you that's... Your Discord's weird. Maybe it's something in your settings.
Let me see.
I mean, I don't know what it would be, honestly, but...
I don't think so.
Like, I'm looking at them now. Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know. I don't want to bore people.
Just try to get
We're
through
almost
this.
through it, though. Man, my tummy hurts so bad, Jacob. I've been talking too much.
I'm sorry, man. Well, I actually do need to go here fairly soon, so let's try and wrap this up as best we can. Yeah,
that menu I talked about where you can interact with people, the options are rob, greet, and aggravate, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Also, as we knew, your weapons unholstered will freak people out if you're in like a bar or a shop somewhere. So if you have your weapon out, people are like, "Dude, what are you doing? Put your gun away." I think that's cool as well. You always have to be wary of what you're doing and how you're handling your weapons.
Can you rob a shop?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you can. You probably just waltz in there and stick them up and steal whatever they have.
Yeah, just like GTA style.
That's cool. Yeah.
Is there like a police force? Like, is there a...
Yeah, there's sheriffs and there's bounties that'll be put on you too. I think it's cool. If a bounty's put on you, they will hunt you to the ends of the earth until they find you. That's cool. And of course, you can complete bounties yourself. There's bounties on other people. You can complete those. But I love the idea that can actually be a bounty on you and people will come searching for you. That's so cool.
Yeah, I really hope Red Dead comes to PC because I want to play Red Dead Online on PC.
Oh, yeah, me too. I think if GTA made its way to PC, I think PC is more prevalent than ever these days. So I think, it's always had an audience, of course, or a player base, I should say. But I think if GTA made it, I think Red Dead will undoubtedly make it in time.
It's kind of just frustrating that they're still not releasing PC the same time as console.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they do that. But I have no doubt it'll be excellent on PS4 because I've heard nothing but amazing things about its presentation and the way it runs.
Yeah.
I think everyone mostly played it on PS4. Probably Xbox One X in there as well. But I have no doubt it'll be extremely polished considering how long it's been in development and everyone that's been working on it for all that time.
Yeah.
So
you probably don't know this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do they create their PC ports in-house or do they outsource it?
No, that's a great question. I'd imagine it's in-house, but maybe it's outsourced. It's something to research. I'm not sure.
Thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah, but lastly, Red Dead Online will have a beta in November, I think, or maybe it starts in November. Can't remember.
It's exciting.
I apologize. Like I said, we're not a substantial newsworthy podcast. We're just chatting. But yeah, Red Dead Online will not be available at launch, but shortly thereafter in November, because we got to remember this comes out at the tail end of October, so we're not waiting very long for online anyway.
Indeed.
So, super excited! Let's do some community questions, shall we, Jacob?
Oh, I thought we'd never get there.
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much from the depths of our souls for continuing to send us questions. Even though we've been delayed this week and we missed a week recently. Like we said, it's been a rough couple of weeks as far as getting together, but we cannot thank you enough for the continued support. We love and cherish every single question you send us. I promise you, we never take any of them for granted. So thank you for taking time out of your days to do so. And if we don't do Ask IOG soon, we will continue to just include them, as many questions as we can, into just the normal podcast, because I don't want to leave you guys hanging for too long. But if Jacob and I can figure out a schedule in his streaming, because he streams most nights, if we can figure out a night of the week where he does Ask IOG instead, maybe we can do that. We'll see. But again, thank you so much. I'm going to cycle through some of these, find some good ones. But in the meantime, I can hardly breathe. It hurts so much to talk. I'm sorry. If you want your question read on this show or our other show, Ask IOG, which will return in time, you can reach us in one of three places. You can email us at ItsObviousGaming@gmail.com. You can tweet at us at @obvious_gaming, or send your questions to the Ask IOG section of our Discord channel, which I'm pulling from this evening. And if you want your questions read publicly on the show, always include the hashtag AskIOG. Without further ado, let's jump into the first one.
Yeah.
By first one, I mean, let me find one on the list that we haven't already read. One sec.
Where are you pulling from again?
Discord.
Okay. Didn't we have one on Facebook recently, or am I crazy?
Maybe. I'm going to pull the ones from email and Facebook and collect them for next week's episode.
Okay.
This is kind of a spur of the moment thing.
What day would work best for you to record that, by the way?
I'm not sure yet. I'll have to let you know.
Okay. Please do. As soon as possible.
All right, this one comes from Leon Adj. Comes from Leon. He says, "What's up from London, UK? I love the podcast, and my question for you guys is if it's a good idea to pre-order Red Dead Redemption 2. Didn't we already talk about this? I can't remember if we read this or not.
I'm pretty sure we read this one.
Okay.
Yeah, let's not do that.
It's a good idea to pre-order Red Dead 2. Leon, if we have answered it, I apologize. But again, I will say I think it is okay to pre-order it, because I think it's going to be amazing.
I swear we answered it last week.
Ow. F me. Crap. Hang on.
Okay.
One of my bandages is coming off.
Oh, no. Garrett's dying, guys. Oh, no. Live on the podcast.
Okay, I'm good.
This is how he always wanted to go. It's okay.
Yeah.
Live on the internet.
Oh, gosh. Okay, we read that. Okay, here's one. I'll save Carlos's for when Preston's here next week.
Okay.
Okay, Matty G says, besides the heavy hitters such as Assassin's Creed and Call of Duty, are there any sleepers that you're excited to play in the coming months? Of course, any sleepers. I don't know if there are any sleepers that I'm unaware of. That's what we were talking about earlier. I can't remember anything else that's coming out besides the big dogs like Call of Duty and Red Dead, Battlefield, Assassin's Creed, Mario Party, Smash Bros.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you aren't one of those big games, you're kind of getting overshadowed this holiday season.
Oh, gosh,
it's kind of unfortunate. I mean, that's how it always is. You know, this is the time of year when, you know, the big dogs release their big games, and, you know, if you're not a big dog, you try to get out of this time of the year, and that's just how it goes, you know.
Yeah.
But besides,
for sure,
I'm trying to think of a game that I'm excited for that's not necessarily pulling headlines. Nothing's really coming to mind. This is a good question, though.
Yeah, I can't think of any sleepers. I want to
honestly,
play all the big ones.
I'm pretty much a mainstream gamer now that I think about it. Like, I pretty much just play the big games, and that's about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty mainstream these days too. I haven't played an indie in a while that blew my mind, aside from
I mean,
like Shovel Knight, and what else did we play recently?
I've played really like solid. Celeste this year. Like, that's an indie, right?
Yeah, Celeste. I haven't beaten that yet. I'm towards the end of that.
Dude,
but
it's
Celeste
good. Finish it.
Celeste is excellent. Shovel Knight's excellent.
How'd you feel about the hotel?
I typically only play the indies that are notable, like the ones people are raving about are the only indies I play. I know you're not really talking about indies in particular, but as far as games that are a little lower on everyone's radar, I can't think of any. So I'll be playing all the big ones, of course.
Garrett, make note of this. We need to talk about the Nintendo Direct next podcast.
Okay, we will do that.
Because we don't have time today.
Sounds good. Trouble 2 writes in and says, I haven't heard you all mention it, and I'm not sure if most people noticed, but what did you all think of the options to switch QTEs in Spider-Man to hold rather than button mash or even turn them off entirely? It's the first time I've ever seen it in a game. I was wondering if there are any other games you are all aware that included this feature. Trouble, I was aware of this. Actually, I wasn't aware of it at launch, or not even launch when I was playing it, but until after the game had come out, I saw people talking about that. I haven't noticed that in any other games. If there is, I apologize, but that's the first time I've seen it. And I think that's an amazing option to have.
Yeah, it seems like it would be easier, right?
Yeah, totally. If people just aren't into the idea of the cutscene being ruined by them pressing a button at the wrong time, they can just hold it to make it easier, or turn them off completely and just watch the cutscene. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like the QTEs and the cutscenes because it just made them a little more interactive. I don't need them to be there, but I think it was a nice touch.
Mm-hmm.
But that option is awesome. I love that they have that.
Yeah,
I also like the fact that they have the option to skip the puzzles, which I also didn't know about while playing through the game.
You can skip puzzles.
Yeah, so you can skip every single one of them, Jacob. If you go into your settings, you can turn it on where you can just skip through them, any of the mandatory ones. So when I play new game...
Hold on, is there a trophy tied to it?
There is, but that's the thing. If you're completing them, you're completing them. I don't think you actually have to physically do them. So you can research that and find out. Maybe someone knows, but I did it the hard way. And again, none of the puzzles were ever hard, and I was never necessarily bored by any of them, but I never loved them. So I like that, and I get why they're in there too as far as Peter Parker's character is concerned, but I like knowing that in New Game Plus and in the DLC, I can skip over them if I feel like it, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Really awesome features. I'm glad we're in there, and the feature I'm excited about is like an immersive mode where you can turn off the in-game HUD and everything and just have your screen completely blank. I think it would be good for certain videos and just a little more immersion there. I mean, I don't mind the little mini map, but it'd be nice to have that off, just swinging around at times. So that's cool.
Yeah, I didn't know about the QTEs though. I'll have to check that out in the settings.
Yeah, very, very cool settings to have. Thank you for your question, Trouble.
Yeah, thanks, Trouble.
Here's another one from Carlos we can read today. Carlos says, would you guys bring special guests onto the podcast like Zach or Casey, or maybe an EOG just for fun? Casey is typically on when we see certain movies. I guess we could have her on for a gaming episode at one point, but I don't mean this in a bad way. I just don't know what she would add. Other than her wonderful presence, just because she doesn't keep up with games at all.
Yeah, she's not
a huge
gamer as far as I know.
Yeah, the last time she actually played a game was Fallout 4 when it launched, so that was a while ago, obviously. Mm-hmm. So it should be fun to have on just because she's fun to talk to. But I don't know, she's typically on when she sees movies because she's good at commentating on movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Or in like a Let's Play of some sort.
We've talked about having guests on the podcast besides like Zach or Casey or something, but we, just for whatever reason, things have come up or, like just things haven't worked out with guests we tried to work out with. But it's definitely something we're not opposed to doing. We definitely want to make sure if we have someone on, they add something to what we're trying to talk about, obviously. So if like we have a relevant guest, depending on something that we talk about, we'd have them. But it just hasn't happened yet. But we are definitely looking into it in the future for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And having an EOG on the podcast is not at all out of the question. And that's very easy to do. It's just a matter of when we want to do it and for what we want to do it for.
Sure.
And we're not at all opposed to having EOGs on the podcast either. I don't know why we've taken so long to actually have a guest on the show, but it's only a matter of time. That'll definitely happen. You can count on that.
Yeah.
And Zach's kind of impossible because he lives a couple hours away now. No longer lives in Florida, but he does live a few hours away. And he doesn't have anything at his disposal to record on his end, or even tune in for that matter. So he's kind of impossible to have on unless he's in town, which is very rare, which sucks. I wish we could have him on more episodes because I like having Zach here.
Feels bad, man.
Totally, dude. Totally. We'll do, I think we do 2 more quick ones. You cool with that, Jacob?
I guess.
Actually, we'll do one more for today since I'm hurting and you got to go. Jared from Subway.
What?
The Jared. I don't know how he got out of prison, but he's here.
Your
Jared
subs
says,
suck.
Yeah, I won't say they suck. They're not even close to my favorite, but they don't suck. I don't lean on Jacob's side of the fence with the Subway.
They suck.
Jared says, do you think games are better as a service or individuals that will definitely get a sequel? Or do you think $5 footlongs are better than all of those? I added that last part. Real question though, do you think games are better as a service or individuals that will definitely get a sequel? I think
that's a tough
the
question.
easy answer is that it depends on the game.
Yeah.
I think Destiny 2 arguably needed a sequel, but not necessarily. I think Destiny 2, for example, is a prime example of a game that, unless they radically change it from the ground up, will never need a sequel unless they continue to just build on it.
Yeah.
Because I think at its foundation, especially post-Forsaken, it's in a really good spot just to build off of because people seem to really be enjoying it.
But they're not going to do that. They're going to release another D3, of course.
Because obviously most games as a service are multiplayer focused.
I will say this, going into the future, I think more games like, say, a Destiny, they're going to be like ongoing things, kind of like how we're seeing battle royales just ongoing. I think we're going to see a lot more base games made and then just continually added to over years and years to come. Because that makes more sense for a company to do, right? Like they're just making one game and they're continually adding to it, but also continually, pumping revenue out of it. So that's what would make sense to me.
I think it just comes down to the player base and the perpetual player base, I should say, because think about how WoW was maintained. I know WoW's player base is shifted over time, but it has more or less had a substantial player base that has enabled them to continue that same game and add on to it for many, many years.
They've literally just added land to the game.
Yeah, whereas the majority of MMOs, I don't think typically, I mean, they always maintain a player base for the most part, but not one that maybe supplies them with enough continual income to continue expanding the same game, which encourages them to produce a sequel that gives them a surge of income and a lot of hype is built up again, and the player base is massive at the start
and also
then dwindles over time.
At the same time, you're comparing like an MMO to like, a shooter or something or anything. Like, of course, every genre is different,
Exactly. So, I mean, it really is like a game-by-game basis, I think, when it comes to that. I personally, I mean, I haven't gotten into too many games as a service, like Destiny, for example. And even Anthem, I'm not too stoked for yet. I mean, I'm sure it will be cool in a lot of ways, and I look forward to playing the demo, which I think is hilarious. Comes out very shortly before the actual game.
Yeah.
I think they should have like a really in-depth beta before that for people to really generate interest and hype. I know people are excited for that, but I think for them to really have more hope going into launch day, they should have like a lengthy beta for at least a couple weeks. But I'm not a developer, I'm not a publisher, I don't know what I'm talking about at the end of the day, but that's just how I feel.
Yeah, you idiot.
But like I don't get into too many games like that. I'm more on the side of I mean, I of course love multiplayer games, like more recently with Hunt Showdown and stuff, but I'm more of the kind of guy that likes individual titles that receive sequels that build on the previous title versus games as a service. But
yeah,
I kind of let Jacob continue off on that conversation if you have something to say.
Yeah, I was just going to add to like my personal opinion as far as this question goes. Like more so lately, I've really liked games that kind of grow over time. I kind of like that model, but there's also that part of me that really likes single player games, right? Or like, for instance, Spider-Man, like that would be a hard game to have as a game as a service. I feel like it's hard to get, like tell a really great story and then kind of develop that into a game that's ongoing, right? So I feel like it's not to say that one's better than the other. It's just that which one do I prefer? Which one like I like both styles, right? So there's definitely room for both of them for sure. But I mean, one definitely feels like it's more profitable than the other, depending like in terms of like the peak of success that one can be. I feel like a games as a service has a better chance of being really great. But then again, you have your games like a Rockstar game that just sells buku amounts of copies. So it's hard to say like which one is really better, right?
Right, for sure.
That was kind of my piece.
I feel you. But I think that will do it for episode 170. I apologize if you guys weren't fond of the way it played out. I hope you found some enjoyment in it. The longer I've talked, the worse I've felt. This may have been a bad idea. We'll see how I fare for the rest of the evening. But thank you guys for tuning in so very much, to all of you who supplied community questions. Carlos, we're not going to leave you hanging with that other question you submitted. I look forward to answering that one with the three of us here. And to the rest of you, never fret. We will get to them very soon, because episode 171 will be out on Monday, which is, of course, very soon after this one.
And
in a lot of ways, some of you might have 2 episodes to listen to on your commute, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure. I hope we are in person for the next one.
Yeah, definitely. I would love that. At least you and I can probably get together, hopefully. Yeah. But we'll see. But again, to all of you, we cannot thank you enough for the continued support. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Please let us know any thoughts you have on Discord, and of course on YouTube, if you're willing to take the time to comment in the comments below. And rate and subscribe to us on Apple Podcast if you're willing. You can even turn off downloads, like we've said, if you don't want to take up space on your phone or your PC or wherever you're listening to the podcast. You can turn all that off, so all you're really doing is subscribing. And even if you have to listen on there, if you're subscribed to us, it helps us grow, and we're still inching towards that new and noteworthy page, even though we've been around forever at this point. But that would be really awesome if you guys are willing to take the time to do that. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say for now. Look forward to more YouTube content this fall. Well, I'm sure we'll have some great Blackout highlights over time. We'll probably have some cool Red Dead content as well. I think that Mario Party, of course, we'll do a lot of fun streams this fall with Nintendo stuff. So it'll be a really good time, and we look forward to hanging with you guys in the coming weeks. It's going to be awesome. And we hope you all, again, have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you for the support, and we will catch you again very soon.
See you guys. Bye.